Hey gamers, what's up? Muzz here from L1 Games. Once again, today I want to do 10 more unpopular video game opinions. This is something I kind of did on a whim on one of my previous videos. People seem to enjoy it. It inspired a lot of conversation, and I thought, you know, I could do this all day. So let's just do 10 more. I'm just going to come right out and say it. Fortnite sucks. I don't get it. I just don't know why anyone likes this game. I played it thoroughly. I tried to like it. I even went back and tried to play it again and tried to like it. I can't force myself to like this game. There's nothing I can do. It completely lacks the type of substance I need to keep me invested in a game. I just don't know how anyone could play this game. I don't like it. People tell me, oh, I love Fortnite. Do you play Fortnite? And I'm just like, what? Really? So yeah, I just have to come right out and say it. Fortnite sucks. Digital distribution ruins gaming and it destroys the history of gaming. Now I get it, like ROMs and emulation and everything, there is an aspect to digital games that keeps the software around forever, which is great. I support emulation, but I don't support a completely digitally distributed business model for gaming. That's where the problem comes in for me. So if you have a console that's nothing but download only, and we're seeing some of this about to happen, it's kind of, I think, a turning point in gaming for me, where, I mean, this is a true democracy. This is going to be our chance as gamers to each have a vote, and we're going to vote with our dollars. And it's going to be whether or not we support these systems. Personally, I'm not going to support them as long as there's a physical disc option for gaming or a cartridge option for gaming. But what I see is, you know, 20 years down the road, these consoles that you buy that have no disc drive, or even worse, where it's just a streaming service, they'll have no value whatsoever to video game history. I like having a hard copy of a game that I truly own, that I can possess and I can own forever. And I can curate my own collection of video game history that way. And it just, digital distribution takes that away from us, and I just can't support it. No Man's Sky was amazing from day one. Not just after the next update, but from day one, No Man's Sky was fantastic. It wasn't what was promised. I do get that. But in the end, for what it was, the scope of what it was, and just how amazingly ambitious the game was, it was phenomenal. Since then, with the updates and the new announcement for Beyond, with all this online functionality, with VR functionality, No Man's Sky is really shaping up to be an amazing gaming experience. I think everyone should definitely give it a shot, but I think it was amazing the day it launched, whether it met up to the expectations or not. All the Paper Mario games are terrible to me, except for Super Paper Mario on the Wii. That one's outstanding. And I love pretty much every Mario game. I'll even play Mario on the CDI, but Paper Mario, I just find completely unplayable. It may factor into the fact that I hate RPGs, and Super Paper Mario was the only one that was really more adventure-based than RPG-based, but in the end, it just is what it is. Nintendo is the greatest innovator in the home game console market. Hands down, bar none, there's no other company that's done as much for gaming in the home game console market, arena, whatever you want to say, and they've just left their impression and their imprint on everything you do in gaming today. And they're still continuing to innovate. They aren't afraid to try new ideas, and without companies like Nintendo, the market would stagnate. So we should really appreciate what they've done in the past and what they continue to do today. There isn't a console you play today that doesn't have some aspect of a Nintendo innovation from the past. And the same can be said for controllers, even most games. So I just had to point out that Nintendo is the greatest innovator in the home game console market. E.T. on the Atari 2600 is not that bad a game. all these people run around saying like E.T. is the worst game ever made. Oh, I watched this documentary, I heard it's the worst game ever. Or I played E.T., it's the worst game ever. No, if you think E.T. is the worst game ever made, then you know nothing about gaming. Look, in a world where Rise of the Robots was released, E.T. shines in comparison. Superman 64 is completely unplayable. There are way worse games than E.T. and I'm so tired of people just hearing them all the time. E.T. is the worst game ever made. No, it's just not true. Limited batch video game companies actually do a great service for gamers. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about a digitally distributed business model versus owning physical property. And what these companies do for us is give us the opportunity to have exactly what I was talking about earlier, true ownership of the games that we want to own, collect, curate, and just have in our collections. I think it's a great thing they do. Limited run games, special reserve, super rare games. Play Asia has done some. I think I'm8bit has done a few. Just there's all these companies that are releasing 2,500 copies of this, 5,000 copies of that or whatever. And it's just really awesome. And I don't care what people say, oh, they're creating artificial demand, blah, blah, blah. It's not artificial. It is what it is. They release so many, they're either sought after or they're not. People hunt for them, people collect them, and if it drives the prices up on eBay or whatever because there's a ton of scalpers, well, it just is what it is. The market will catch up with that eventually. It'll all even out. But what they do, the service they provide, is actually pretty awesome, and I support it 100%. The Wii was for hardcore gamers too. You know, all these people always talk about how the Wii was for casual gamers and for old people and children. The fact that Nintendo once again innovated the market and completely changed the demographic of gamers from children to old people and everything in between, showing again how awesome Nintendo is, it's just, that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean the console's just for children or older people. There were a lot of hardcore games on there like Mad World, and you can play the complete Resident Evil collection, 0, 1, 2, 3, Veronica 4, Umbrella Chronicles, Darkside Chronicles if you played the Cube games and the Wii games, and have the definitive 1 through 4 Resident Evil collection. There's a ton of great stuff, and games like Boom Blocks and Elebits, totally addictive, awesome games. It's just there's a ton of content for it. The Conduit was an amazing first-person shooter. Red Steel didn't get the credit it deserved, and there's just so much more that you can play on it. No More Heroes 1 and 2. I could go on forever about the Wii. It's actually a great system for casual gamers and for hardcore gamers alike. There is nothing wrong with being a casual gamer. I hear people throwing those words around like there's some kind of derogatory term. It's crazy the way people use it, but I mean, when you get right down to it, hardcore gamers, we're kind of a minority. I'd say most people are casual gamers. They don't get into it as much as we do. They don't live a video game lifestyle. They just play here and there. And that's perfectly fine because we all put into the great pot that supports and funds and fuels the industry, right? You have casual gamers playing all these games and they're paying the money to the developers that we love, just like we are, to further future projects, research and development, to make things happen. So casual gamers are good for the market. They feed and fuel the market. They're just like us, except they aren't as passionate maybe about gaming or about as much of gaming as we are. Like maybe they're just focused on Call of Duty or something. And you know, that's fine. Maybe they're just focused on Fortnite or something. That's just fine. I don't care. And I don't think it's a bad thing that people are maybe only into this or that, or like easy games or whatever the case may be, games that those of us who are really into like hardcore gaming, collecting and all that are into, and they don't get into it like we do. That doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't make being a casual gamer a bad thing. It's just a subcategory of gamer that more elitist gamers think that they can demean because, you know, we're better because we're hardcore gamers. Well, you're not necessarily better, and it's kind of pretentious to say otherwise. Perfect Dark 64 is a better game than GoldenEye 64. Sorry, but it just is what it is. It was originally going to be the sequel to GoldenEye, I'm sure many of you already know that, and it was already inherently better than its predecessor, but they lost the Bond license, so they went ahead and they changed some things up and they made Perfect Dark instead. And if I'm being really technical, Time Splitters is actually a better game than Perfect Dark. It was made by the same guys. They all left Rare. They started a company called Free Radical, and Free Radical made the Time Splitters games, 1, 2, and Perfect Dark. And I mean, Time Splitters, you see map editor modes, 120 some selectable characters. I mean, just infinite replay value. It's phenomenal. But getting back to the original point, Perfect Dark was better than GoldenEye. Sorry. And that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have an unpopular video game opinion of your own, by all means, leave it in the comments below. Or if you agree with or disagree with any of mine, leave that in the comments below and I will try to respond to you. I always try to respond to my comments. We can get a little dialogue going. We can talk about all of our opinions, and that's always a good time. So I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later. If you like this video, please do subscribe and hit that bell icon for future updates. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook at L1Games.